Welcome everyone to our Astro Yoga chat. Let's bring our palms together by our heart and close your eyes. With your eyes closed, gaze into the center of your eyebrows. The yogis call this space Chittakash. It means mind space. As you gaze into the center of the eyebrows, let's take 3 deep breaths together. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. And the last one at your own pace. Maybe breathe a bit longer. And breathe out. Bow your head towards your heart. And then release your hands and lift up your head and open up your eyes. And welcome. My name is Kate.
And I'm Natalie. Hi.
We are back with our Astro Yoga chats. And today we want to bring you a bit of our stories and some conversation around meditation.
Exactly. So what is meditation? That's the big question, actually. So I think we both had interesting journeys to find out. And it's also something that is personal. Like, everybody experiences it a little bit differently. So
It's true. Everyone does it. There's so many ways to meditate.
right.
There's not a right or a wrong way to meditate. And as my meditation journey, actually, when I did my first teacher training, my 200-hour teacher training, we were meditating and then I had to figure out, how am I going to meditate on my own? And I really had no idea, because I thought I had to, and even in a 200-hour teacher training, while we learned meditation, I never learned really how to meditate. So I followed Oprah and Deepak Chopra do like this 21-day meditation challenge. And I followed that. I was like, okay, let's start somewhere. Let me do this. And I would do that. And I would do timelines of that. But it wasn't until I found my meditation teacher, who has so much experience in Tantra meditation. And he actually lived in the Himalayas. He actually lived in caves with the yogis. He's definitely a master. His name is Yogi Charu. And he taught me so much about meditation. It blew my mind, because, the style that I practice it's called Tantra. And there's many forms and many ways of Tantra. It has nothing to do with the sex stuff, because most people hear Tantra and they think of sex. It's like, no, no. But it took me years. So let's say if you're trying to figure out for yourself, like, what is meditation? What's my journey? It took me years, even after taking my first 200-hour teacher training, to find my meditation.
Yes. For me, it was the same. Like, for a long time, the word meditation was something like, okay, you're gonna sit there still for a long time, and I don't know, probably your soul is gonna leave your body. I thought it's something like astral travel, or something, because it leads to enlightenment. I was not really sure what's going on when I tried. I always had thoughts. And also with my yoga teacher trainings, they were very physical, a lot of focus on anatomy, and we did pranayama, but we did not meditate, not really. And so my brother-in-law is a yogi, and he's been meditating for years and years. And I only heard like, wow, he meditates for 4 or 5 hours each night, and yogis don't need to sleep a lot anymore. I was like, wow, I cannot even sit for 2 minutes. So, like the movie with Julia Roberts, Eat, Pray, Love, when she's in India, like once she falls asleep and then there's a fly, and I was like, yeah, that is me. I don't know how that works. So then in 2018, I went to India. I was lucky to get a commercial, and I shot there, and I went on the search for my palm leaf. which is like, you know, where they say, you know, your life story is written on a palm leaf. And in this palm leaf, there was a mantra, was quite a long mantra, and it said I had to do it twice, 108 times a day for 2 years to get rid of karma. And I was like, oh my God, I have to memorize all these Indian words. And I did it. I finished those 2 years. And actually, before that, I was already in New York, and I heard about Ziva meditation, Emily Fletcher. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for the info session. And she explained very well how it works with the thoughts, having thoughts or no thoughts, and what the power of this certain meditation that she does with the mantra, like a mind vehicle, does for you physically. So there is like more spiritual meditation, but there is meditation for everyday people who need to recover, rejuvenate. And actually, it did help me a lot with that, because I was always a child who was always tired. I always had chronic fatigue. And once I started meditating in this way with the mantra, I had so much more energy. It really helped me to get through the days better. And yeah, so it was really a blessing. And I've been doing it ever since. You know, I started getting up way earlier than necessary just to keep the routine. And yeah, I'm so really curious. You know, I just know a little bit that you meditate on the chakras, but how would you describe your kind of meditation?
So Tantra, the definition as described to me of Tantra is expansion of consciousness. And so there is, I think I gravitate towards this meditation so much because one, I'm never bored. There's always something to expand, right? So it's like I'm never stuck in one place. I'm always just trying to go a little bit further, push a little bit more, because the meditations actually will challenge me a lot. So when I meditate on the chakras, there is a meditation called Chakra Dharan, where you start from the base, Muladhara chakra, and you imagine that you're weaving energy from one chakra and you go from the left into another, and then you breathe, and it's all breath. So you breathe in through the left side into into the second chakra, into Svadhisthana, and then you breathe in from Svadhisthana into Manipur, and you're creating this like loop that goes all up the chakras. Now, you can imagine how much concentration this takes, because the minute your mind is now someplace else, you've lost it, right? And you have to also count how many rounds that you're going up, all the way up to your Sahasrara chakra. So this Chakra Dharan is, well, Dharan meditation, for me, meditation, this practice is about concentration and focus. So there are so many ways to meditate. You know, you have mindfulness, you have mantra meditation, you have schools of thought that says have zero thoughts. You know, the school that I practice and that I teach is really about focusing your mind. And I need that so much, because I have all these ideas and all these thoughts and all these dreams, but unless I can focus, unless I can concentrate, nothing's going to get done, because I'll have another thought. So my meditation practice, it does rejuvenate me, which is very helpful, especially the practice of yoga nidra. Nidra in Sanskrit means sleep. And imagine doing 30 minutes of a meditation practice laying down in Shavasana. So it's pretty much like it's gold. It's like heaven. But my meditation practice helps to rejuvenate me, but it also inspires me. When I can find these pockets in my body of like these energy sources where suddenly things start to expand, or I'll start to see colors, or I'll start to see images. And when I'm done, I am completely ready and inspired to be like, okay, I got this. Like I'm grounded, I'm focused, I'm ready, I got this. So I find that my meditation practice sometimes feels a little bit like an asana practice, like a yoga practice. When you're done, you're like, wow, like I just did so much, but all we were doing, we're closing our eyes, you know? But you do so much. And so the energy within you is moving so much. So So yeah, Tantra and the style of meditation that I practice is really about concentration. So whether we're concentrating on our energy, whether we're concentrating on chakras, whether on the breath, on pranayama, it really is focus, because without focus and without, it's almost in a sense also discipline. Without the discipline, as I take this meditation in my daily life, if I have an idea, it takes discipline to make that idea come to life. So I use, yeah, that's
so interesting how you describe it, because like for me, so this meditation where you do the mala, which you call japa meditation, is like a little of a discipline, because you have to do it, and you know, you have to keep the pearls and not drop it and whatever. And I've been doing it for a while with my meditation on the mantra. So how it was explained to me, it's just a mind vehicle going down, and you say it in your mind, you get a word assigned, because most of the mantras are closed, they're not official. So you get it assigned by your teacher. If you don't have somebody like this, you can use Om, which is of course the mantra that is open to everyone. But when you go down, it's like going down in deeper levels of consciousness. And what happens is that like toxins come up in the way of thoughts. So your mind is releasing stress each time you drop deep. It's releasing thoughts. So sometimes for me, I'm having thoughts, I say the mantra in my word, then I remember, oh, I have to say it again. And then there's a gap, and there's many thoughts, and it starts bubbling up. It's like detoxing. It's like, oh my God, all these weird thoughts come up. Then I drop deeper, then I forget the mantra, then I say the mantra, and then many thoughts again. So I sometimes feel like it's for me less of focus. It's more like there's so much stuff bubbling up. And because of that, because the mind can do all this stuff, I feel really relaxed, relieved afterwards. And also how I was explained this mantra meditation is like, when you sleep, your mind is actually relaxing, but the body cannot relax all the way, because like, of course, back then, you know, when a tiger would come across the corner, you know, you would have to have some ability to wake up and flee. So when you go to meditation, the mind is like alert, and it's still there, and it has thoughts and whatever, and has a mantra to do, but then the body can really relax, and meditation is more relaxing for the body. That's why we age not that fast when we meditate, we sleep better, body can recover more. So yeah, for me, it's very different than you. It feels like it has no focus. It's like letting go of the mind. It's like like this.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about, you know, different ways of meditating. And we are both Geminis, and we both have a fast mind, but we found something that is so different. But I mean, it seems to be working, because I've also been doing it for like 5 years altogether, meditation. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been now on this path since 2011. So I've been on this path for a while. One of the ashrams that I love to visit, because it's Shivananda lineage, and they're based in northern India and the Himalayas. And their style of meditation is to sit for 20 minutes in silence. And, you know, for someone who is like, I can't sit for 2 minutes in silence, or I can't sit still, you know, for whatever. But then afterwards, they do kirtan, which is singing. And they do 20 minutes of joyful singing of like, so now you've heard, because your bubbling experience of your mind made me think of this. It's like you got all these thoughts, but then you got to come back to your mantra. So in a sense, you do have to focus, but you're bubbling your thoughts up, and you're letting that all happen, because when you meditate, you're going from the conscious to the subconscious to the unconscious mind. So all of the things that we think do not have impressions on us, they form impressions. So like, meaning you can pass somebody on the street and you see the way that they're dressed. And then all of a sudden you go into a store and you're like, oh, why do I want that star shirt? Oh, because I just saw that woman pass by in a star shirt. That left an impression. We are computers, so we're constantly like taking things, we're not computers, but you know what I mean. You're constantly like taking these things in, and so when you meditate, you're cleaning your slate. You're like dusting your mirror, you're taking things out, and you're listening to the thought, because you can have one thought and then you'll have 5 other thoughts playing in the background. So as you're sitting still, then all those other thoughts also come to the forefront, to the center. Meditation is amazing. I will say this for anyone who is looking for their meditation, keep searching. Okay. Because if I just stopped at that place where I was like, okay, I'm just supposed to sit still, that was so boring to me to just sit still. I couldn't do it. I'm like, this is boring. I don't know what to do. It wasn't my meditation, and even the Shivananda meditation, sitting, being still for 20 minutes and not being guided for nothing. And then you do kirtan, which is joyful. But, I love it now because I have my own practice, so I can appreciate it. But my advice for anyone starting off on this journey is try different meditations. Just Google meditation, because if you Google meditation, you'll have all of these reasons of why it's so beneficial for you. Our bodies, like you mentioned, the whole, your body has to like jump up if it needs to like protect itself. Your nervous system is automatic, meaning you don't have control over that. So if the mind perceives any sort of danger, the body responds, and the body responds by releasing hormones and releasing this sense of like, okay, we got to go do this. But then how do you regulate that? Because too much of that creates this, creates like, we're anxious, we're like holding on to we're just holding on to things, and we're just like, the nervous system needs to come back into what we call the parasympathetic state, and meditation helps to bring us there, because now there's no perceived, we are controlling, in a sense, the mind. And when you control, and the body follows the mind. So if the body is following a calm perceived mind, the body then can release its calm perceived hormones. So it's quite interesting. I mean, it's scientific. There's so much science behind this,
And, just to give a little bit more options, I mean, in the Yoga Sutra, it even says like you can focus on a flame, or you
Yes.
can imagine the heart of a holy person, like, whatever you choose, could be Jesus or whatever, or on the name of a person, I had a great book, it gave so many visualizations, like, you visualize your spine as a column, and you feel the energy on top above your head. When you inhale, it stays there, and you imagine the energy here. And then as you exhale, you imagine the energy underneath your pelvic floor. Or you go to the tip of your nose, and like an inch before your nose, there's a point, and you try to feel that point as you inhale and exhale. So there is like so many ways. I mean, it's really endless. So I really agree. Find your way, find books, read things, try out things. And then, I think always when you learn something, you can really benefit of doing something for a while. If you do something for a while, you see, okay, after a few months, I feel like I'm going to change it up a little bit. So I've been doing the Ziva meditation on the mantra, very strict, for many years. And now I came back to the japa more, because I like the idea that certain Indian Sanskrit words have a vibration, and they can affect something into my life when I do it. And I build up these repetitions. It's like, like building up positive karma and stuff like this. So it's evolving and changing, but find something and start. And also what I really said is like was when you said like we drop from the conscious eventually down to the unconscious.
Mhm.
And I think that would be a good link to tie in the planets now.
Sure.
Yes. Would you like to share our little
I
uh
will.
right?
Here we go. Do you see
So
it?
yes, I can see it.
Okay,
So what we
cool.
have for you here are the glyphs of the planets, and the glyphs are the symbols. And as one of my astrology teachers, Joni Patrice, says, that the glyphs have a meaning and they go really deep. So today I want to talk about Uranus and Neptune. So Uranus down there is a circle with a dot. So actually it looks like the sun, right? Like up there, there is the sun and there is an arrow going up. So this is one of the planets I want to talk about. And then Neptune right next to it, it looks like a fork, right? It looks like an antenna. So yeah, I think we can stop sharing that. So
Okay.
those planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, will talk in a different session, but those are our outer planets. So everything until Saturn was discovered, hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of years ago, because you were able to see them with your eye. And everything afterwards, after Saturn, was discovered not so long ago. They are, only possible to see with the telescope. And Uranus was discovered in 1781. And each of those planets, when they were discovered, they changed the consciousness of people. And they have an effect on the unconsciousness of people. So when Uranus came up, it was the Industrial Revolution, and he is the big planet of sudden, unexpected changes. And with the glyph of the circle and the dot and the arrow going up, I always have a feeling it's like the Kundalini awakening. So that's how he works. He works really fast. It's like lightning. He rules lightning and electricity and of course, astrology and all of that. He also rules the heavens. He is the higher octave of Mercury, the mind. So when you have a strong and good Uranus in your chart, you think out of the box. Like it's not so traditional. You can like go up higher in your mind, and he's sometimes also referred to as a bridge builder between our galaxy and the Milky Way, the unconventional. He's like a visionary. So why do I link it to meditation? Because there's something like the sun is also your ego or your personality, but it builds like this channel going up, like a sudden flash of insight in meditation can come. Yeah, it takes us to a higher level of consciousness. And when Uranus transits your chart, your life changes. It's like huge life changes. All of a sudden you lose a job, or all of a sudden you get a job, or all of a sudden you meet somebody, or all of a sudden you get some money, So big, huge life changes. All of a sudden you have to move to a different country. That's Uranus, and when you have him in connection with other planets, like, if you have it in a good connection, it's like you're very flexible. You can deal with change as well. And when you have it in difficult connections, you probably have a bit of a problem of sticking with things because you need so much change. So do you have a feeling that, Uranus, like, could mean meditation and connecting us to the heavens and God?
Yes, because when you're describing this and like when you're linking it to meditation, you see, when you meditate and when you get to know yourself, because you're knowing yourself now from your deeper thoughts. I have had the most profound experiences in my meditation practice that have just show me how I just need to like love and choose love over fear over and over and over again, or just trust myself, just to trust that all of the information that I need, that I'm looking for, is within me. So yes, because the mind has this tricky way of trying to keep us in this like weird ass place of like, fear, this, that, oh my gosh, what, keeping us on this plane, almost like in a sense, the materialistic plane. So when you connect more into your deeper consciousness, your subconscious, when you connect more to the higher, to the heavens, there's less to fear. There's, you're just reminded over and over again not to fear. And change, in yogic perspective, yogis celebrate change. Because even though Uranus can come and just make big, huge changes out of nowhere, and they could be bad, they could be good in the moment. But when you look back at your life now, 10 years down the road, that job that you just lost, that was like, oh my gosh, that was devastating. If you keep going, and if you keep yourself going, was it devastating? We don't know. Every situation is unique. But yogis, the big thing about change with yogis is we celebrate change. So we're not afraid of change. So Uranus to me is, I'm not afraid of Uranus, but it's like, where is he though in my chart? I want to know, because I got to be careful. But
And the funny thing is, because he hit my MC, which is my job point, in May, and for years, like astrologers have told me, like more than 20 years ago, once you hit that, you're gonna have your big breakthrough. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have it. And it's the planet of unexpected changes. So each time you expect something, it's not gonna happen. And nothing happened in May. I was like, that's possible. I asked my teachers, like the greatest Vedic astrologers in America that I all met. I was like, he didn't do anything. And it was like, so he always does what you don't expect. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny.
And so the other planet I want to talk about is Neptune. And Neptune was discovered in 1846. And he is spirituality himself. So at that time, the spiritualist movement started. People, like seances and all that, Edgar Cayce. Also photography came into it. So he's also very much connected to the arts. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So it's about this huge love, which is not just for one person, but all of mankind. Neptune has no boundaries, no limits. He's all about your psychic powers, your dreams, higher consciousness, like devotion, like bhakti yoga. You do something selfless for another person. He's all about sensitivities and tapping into your intuition, inner knowing, all of that. And he looks like even like a fork, like an antenna, like, right, Neptune, you have the antenna there and things can drop down. And this planet is really amazing because as beautiful he is in spirituality in a chart and in arts, like amazing artists have a great Neptune because they also channel art, right? It comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
He can be devastating in a chart because on the earthly plane and in a very practical sense, it's like a fog. It's like not seeing, you don't know what's going on. It's illusions, having illusions in the mind or being deceived by other people. It's about escaping realities like drugs and sleeping and all kinds of things, shady things. He can produce scandals. He can ruin the health. I mean, it's so interesting how this planet of pure spirituality and also connecting to higher levels of consciousness on this earthly plane can be really difficult to experience. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's also, I think, an interesting link. Maybe, we think of yogis sitting for days and days and years in caves and meditating. But actually the challenge nowadays is like, how can you be like an everyday yogi in a normal life? Like, having a job and doing things. So how do you connect your spirituality and your practice to an everyday life?
That's a great question. And that sounds like another episode.
Yes. And maybe that's a homework question, right?
Yeah, it is a homework that it's a great homework question. How do you, if you're a modern person living in the modern world, how do you how do you live a spiritual life? How do you live more of a spiritual life in this modern day reality? I like it. I love it, actually. Natalie.
So actually, we have one planet left. We'll talk about Pluto,
Yeah.
the big transformer. So yeah, it's really an interesting journey, and integrating your knowledge of astrology is always like something like forearmed is forewarned, right? Like it helps you deal in life when you know what's going on or what's coming up. You can deal in a more conscious way. So yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I highly enjoyed this episode, and we'll come back to you next week with we'll talk about Natalie will talk more about Pluto, and we'll continue our conversation about meditation. So thank you, everyone, very, very, very much. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.